Greetings, this is Walter Rodrigues Jr. In this lesson, I'll be sharing with you some tips on arranging for solo jazz guitar. I'll be going over my arrangement of Happy Birthday step by step, so make sure you have access to the PDF material. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, let's begin by going over a few points that I think are very important and helpful when arranging for solo guitar. Number one, always pick a song that you are familiar and comfortable with. Number two, choose a key that is guitar friendly to your playing skills and style. Number three, determine the arrangement style by experimenting with a variety of rhythms. Number four, in general, the more your chords and especially the melody notes are sustained, the better. Number five, avoid big leaps. The more common notes and close movements between chords, the better. And number six, always experiment with a variety of arranging tools that are available to you, such as modulations, chord substitutions, different voicings, inversions, cadences, rhythm, etc. For this lesson, I chose Happy Birthday, which is a well-known song. It is short, simple, and at the same time, it could be very challenging to arrange. Now let's start by looking at the song Happy Birthday. There's a few things that I always look for in a song before I start actually arranging it. The first thing is I consider the key of the song, and I always look for a guitar friendly key that I can play the song in. For instance, I chose the key of G major because I can stay a lot on the first position. I can have open strings. Let's say for the sixth chord, I can have the open low E string. So things like that. Looking at the pickup measure, you notice that I changed the time signature. The original song is in 3/4. So I chose to arrange it in 4/4. So that's another tool that is available to you. It doesn't matter if this song is, let's say, in a swing feel, or if it's a bossa nova. You can change it to a waltz. You can change it to 3/4 and vice versa. So it really doesn't matter. It's about experimenting with it and see what works. So the pickup measure has two chords, A minor 11 and A flat 7 sharp 11, and then we go to G major 7 with the 13. So right there, the pickup measure is two single notes. So it's a D, D, then it goes to E. So instead of playing just a single note, I chose to go and play a chord over it, thinking that my target chord is the one chord. So I'm gonna play it raw without any arranging. So it should be, so it's a 5 5 1 or 5 5 1 D7 D7 G. So I chose to go 2 5 1, but in this case I went 2. So which is A minor with the melody on top, which makes this chord A minor 7 with the 11. Now instead of going to the 5, which would be D7, I used a tritone substitution, which is actually the same chord, but with the bass half step lower. So it would be A minor 7 11, A flat 7 sharp 11. So, and the next chord is the one chord, which is G major 7, but the melody is here on the note E. So I go. So that takes us to the full first measure now. Now the next target chord is E minor. So E minor chord, so which is the 6th chord. So instead of going straight to the 6th chord, which I chose this voicing, so I used a passing chord with a chromatic bass movement here, which is a D chord with a F sharp in the bass. So it's the first inversion of the D chord. So here it comes, then the E minor, then the melody note is on G, F sharp. So let me do it again. Now, instead of going to the D7 as expected, what I did here is I went to the 3 chord. So 6. Now 3 minor, which is actually, this is how I looked at it. Instead of playing the D7, so if we consider this chord as just a D, the relative minor of D major is B minor chord. So instead of going to D7, I went to the relative minor, so to speak. It would be functioning as it if it was a D. So B minor, then a passing chord, just by lowering half step the same chord. Now we go down again, another half step to A minor. Now we're gonna resolve to the 5. I mean, we would, that's the expected, but instead of going to the 5, I go to an F minor, F sharp minor 7 with the sharp 5. Now this is how I looked at it. Instead of going to the 5, I kind of went to the 5 here with the F sharp in the bass, which is the first inversion. But to give it a little more tension, I added the 7 here. So instead of just being a D with F sharp in the bass, it's actually an F sharp minor 7 chord, because I added a 7 here with the sharp 5. So let me do the whole thing slowly. Now from here, we're gonna have a 2-5-1 in G. Now the expected would be the 2 chord, going to the 5 chord. So here I went to A minor 7 with the 11. So I play an open E at the top, which is the melody note. Then to the 5 chord, but I suspended it first, then resolve it to the 3rd, 4th, 3rd. Then to the 1 chord. Now, here, instead of going straight to the 1 chord, I delayed a little bit the resolution by doing a C over G. Then this chord, which is a kind of G augmented with the augmented 5th and sus2. So it's kind of a Bach chorale kind of voicing. Now to the 1. Now the next section of the song would be would be a 1/7 chord, but instead of going to the 1/7, a nice substitution here is the 3 chord, dominant 7/3 chord altered. So it would be, instead of going to the pa-da, to the 1/7, I went pa-da. So this is a B7 chord, which is the 3 chord. Now let me open a parenthesis here. In jazz, the 3 chord can be, instead of a minor chord, it could be a dominant chord and usually altered chord. So it's a nice substitution for the 1/7 chord. It's a B7 chord with a sharp 5 and a sharp 9. So here's the melody. Now we go to the 4 chord. So here's what I did. Instead of going 1, 1/7 to the 1 chord, I went 1, the 3 chord, dominant 3 altered. Now to the 4 chord. Now from here, a very common progression would be going up to the C sharp diminished 7 chord. So I went. Now instead of going the expected would be going another half step higher with the bass, resolving to the 1 chord. So the expected would be, but I went 4, then the diminished chord. Instead of going back to the 1, I went to the 3 chord again, to the 6 chord, but major instead of minor 6. That's another substitution you can do. Instead of using a 6 chord as a minor chord, you can use the 6 chord as a dominant chord. So 3, and here's a chromatic line at the top to the 6, dominant 6. So the line continues going down chromatically. Now to the 2 chord, to the 5 chord. So in reality, I'm playing, you would be 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, a very common turnaround in jazz. 6, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. So I played 3, 6, 2, 5. Then instead of resolving directly to the 1, what I played here was I played the flat 7 chord, dominant, with the melody on top. So this is a F dominant 7 with the 13, and the melody is actually the 9 of the chord. Then I play the same chord, half step chromatically, but still maintaining the G on top. So that's the same chord, I'm just switching fingers here. So this chord is going to be an F sharp dominant with the 13 and the flat 9 at the top. Then the same chord. So in reality, I'm playing exactly the same chord, but I'm keeping the highest note, which is G, for all 3. And that takes us to the end. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I'll see you next time.